And the bride and groom are about to cut the cake, so if you would like to take any photos, please feel free to do. Don't rush too quickly.
I feel it's essential that
So I can't video on, let's see the photo at the same time.
I can't use what you've just said.
Yeah, just zoom in out.
Ready? Everyone ready? Yeah. Ready? Can I see this one now? Yeah, guys.
Oh, Margaret, last line.
Wonderful, but our lens is
What? Lay it on the side of your chair then.
Bang again? Yes.
Go on, show you're in charge.
You're not going to get away from this. I'd like to start the speeches by inviting the father of the bride, Brian, to say a few words.
Come on, Brian.
Contrary to what you all think, I am already standing, all right? I'd like to take this opportunity of welcoming everyone, and including the people I've never met before, to Jenny and Phil's special day. I think you'll all agree, though, that the bride and bridesmaid look gorgeous. Yeah. And the groom equally as handsome.
Oh, yeah.
Moving on.
I'd also like to thank a few people, particularly my wife, for organising this special occasion. The best men, bridesmaid, and everyone else here for making this such a memorable occasion. Phil and Jen now have been together for about 5 years. During that time, Phil's hair's changed because back then he used to have blonde highlights. But he's still the kind, considerate, accident-prone boy I knew. Jenny is the most lovely and special daughter I could ever wish for. And I'm not at all biased saying that. We're all so proud of her achievements, and I know that if our grandparents could be here today, they'd be as well. However, I'm not looking at you. However, the red hair comes with a warning sign. Sometimes it's accompanied by a red mist. And I think the people on the Barnes and Rush table can verify that. Yes? And you, yes. And you, yes. Saying that, Jen and Phil compliment one another and make a smashing couple. But as in every household, neither of them is boss. That title goes to Ted the Cat. I'd now like you to raise your glasses and wish Mr. and Mrs. Williams a long and happy marriage.
Mr. and Mrs. Williams.
Cheers, Jen.
Before I sit down, one last request. Well, it's an order really, is that everyone must enjoy themselves and have a good time.
like to invite Phil's father, Jeff, to say a few words. Jeff.
One, Jeff.
Thanks very much, James. Can I first start by thanking Pauline and Brian really for this lovely spend that we've had today, and I'm sure you've all enjoyed. And for the organisation that's gone in today, because it's not so bad when you're the father of the bridegroom, but father of the bride is something else again in terms of organising the event. And having done it last year, I know what's involved. I've known Pauline and Brian a long time actually, and Brian and I were actually in school together, so a long, long time. And not long after Philip and Jen got together, we bumped into Pauline and Brian in Asda, and we were chatting about Phil and Jen, and at that time Brian said, "I think there's a wedding at the end of this," you know, he said. So even at that time, it was clear that there was something special between Phil and Jen, and it's something that we had actually noticed that yes, there was something special here. I'm not sure it was love at first sight, but it was.
Work in progress.
They bumped to say now, oh no, we hated each other when we first met. But, however, having said that, love was the furthest thing from my mind when Philip rang up one Saturday night, or Saturday afternoon perhaps, when he was in Spain and said, "By the way, Jen's come home from her holiday. I'm halfway through mine, but I'm coming home to see her tomorrow. Can you pick me up in Stansted Airport at 12 o'clock Sunday night?" So love wasn't on my mind that night, I can tell you that. Well, Phil, I've got to say this. Who would have thought that the child who got so excited watching Thomas the Tank played hours with his cars and had various battles with his bike, which he invariably lost.
That's where it's going to stop.
I stopped there, yeah. Should grow up as you are, so athletic and handsome, suave and debonair.
Again.
It was worth the fighting. But seriously, your mother and I are very proud of you, and we're also very proud of the person you've chosen to be your wife, Jennifer.
Yeah.
And
Possibly, yes.
yeah. And I got to say, throughout your life, you made some very good choices. One apart, the football team you support. And I got to tell you this, right, because Ethan was sitting over there, and he wouldn't say it himself, but he said, "Tell Uncle Phil this," he said. "There's not one bad Liverpool footballer he could think of, because the whole squad are terrible." But seriously, you made some very good choices in your life, Phil. You've chosen very good friends. You've chosen very wisely with James and the boys over there. You know, we've had some good times together, playing games on the living room floor. It only seems like the other day we were actually doing that. Monopoly and Cluedo and so on. In fact, I think it was only the other day. Yeah, but now you've made your ultimate choice with Jen as a wife, and you know, as I say, you couldn't have picked a better person. And Christine and I are very proud of her, and she's a lovely girl, very beautiful and very loving, and we wouldn't want anyone else as a daughter-in-law. So, could I just take this opportunity then, Jen, to welcome you to the family, and to end, could I just toast the bride and groom?
The bride and groom.
I was told I would have been done by now, but apparently I've got to go after Chris today. So, and I'd like to invite Richard to say a few words. Rich, over to you, fella.
Okay, just like to say that my speech today is quite off the cuff because I actually wasn't going to say anything. So for those of you who know me as the quiet, you'll know that this is going to be quite difficult for me. But sat at the top table, I felt the need that I needed to say something today. So it's going to be quite short and sharp really. I just wanted to say that I've grown up with Jennifer. She's my best friend, and actually to be asked to be part of today on Lisa and myself, we just want to say thank you to Philip and Jenny in terms of asking us to be part of their special day. And really that's it, to be honest with you guys. Like I said, I haven't really planned anything. So to the bride and groom. Okay.
No, not me yet. I'd like to invite Jen's brother to say a few words, please.
A few words.
I think the only reason I'm up here is because I've been with people. This helps. So I thought about what am I going to say, and the other thing that sprung to mind is the fact that I'm supposed to be the big brother. I'm supposed to care for Jen. But when I look back at certain incidents through our childhood, I have no idea why she still speaks to me. Two incidents that I talk about constantly pop into my mind. The one was on Christmas, where she got her first makeup set. And no, I didn't steal it. I am quite progressed on that line. We had my parents up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, so we moved up, so they were down there in their post-Christmas Day slump. We went upstairs and Jennifer's looking at this thing and you should try this. But half an hour later, she comes downstairs and walks into the lounge and goes to Mum and Dad. And I remember it quite clearly saying, "I'm beautiful." My mother wakes up, looks, screams, because I plastered her entire face in nail varnish. And I mean, her face is in nail varnish. It must have been we moved up there, and 2 Christmases later, yet again, my sister is given a manicure kit. And to this day, I don't think my sister will ever trust the words by any man who says to her, "Close your eyes." 2 weeks later, she comes running downstairs screaming again. My mother there's blood gushing from her neck because I cut off a skin tag with a pair of plastic scissors. As you can see, I was not a very good brother to her. There were times when I'd lock her in the toilet where she couldn't reach the light switch and she'd scream because it's dark. When we moved to our new house, I'd make her sit on the floor with a hard metal chair because she couldn't sit on my bed, and, you know, things like that. And obviously, as you mature, as you grow up, and I took this big sort of return, but you know, I cared for her and looked after her. So I thought, and eventually, it sort of began to wither off because she met Phil, and I realised he took over. He was caring and loving for her now, and as much as I still do, I don't have to do it so much anymore because Phil does it for me. He cares for her, he loves her just as much as I do, and I feel in my heart my sister is probably one of my best friends on the entire planet. She's the only one that laughs at anything that I find slightly amusing, ever. I phone her up randomly at 9 o'clock and I go, "Have you seen this?" And she's the only one that will laugh at me. And I thank you, Phil, for loving her as much as I do. And I remember reading this thing once, and it's a bit soppy, but if Jenny, well, how could I think now? If I could have a star for every time she made me smile, I'd have the entire universe in the palm of my hand. So, I know it's good to say that. To my sister and to my new brother, all the best. Cheers. Oh, sorry. I'm now going to
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I knew there was a reason why I wanted to go before Chris. And unlike everyone else, I definitely need these cards. If I start reading them off the card, it's the nerves kicking in a little bit too much. Sorry. But I'd like to start by proposing a toast to the bridesmaids today. Daisy, Ruby, and Lisa. Outshone only by Jennifer herself. So can we toast please to the bridesmaids?
Bridesmaids.
To Richard.
And Richard, sorry. Sorry. But I got a laugh anyway, so that's a good start. But the bridesmaids, you truly have done a fantastic job today. Especially getting Jennifer to the venue, because I understand she did put up quite a fight. Bill, could you please put your hand directly on top of Jennifer's? As you do it, yes. Does that feel nice, Phil? Make the most of it, mate, because it's the last time you're ever going to have the upper hand. All off the internet, I don't take any credit for it. But seriously, or more importantly, I'd like to start off by congratulating the happy couple, Phil and Jen. Any of us, like me, who've been lucky enough to spend time in their company, know what a great couple they are together, complimenting each other most of the time. I do feel very lucky to have Phil as a friend. He's a great person and is now getting some of the success he thoroughly deserves, not least of which was meeting Jen. And I'm sure you'd all agree that she looks absolutely stunning today. Some words you could use to describe Phil: charming, intelligent, and entertaining.
Don't do that.
Jumping in, let me finish the joke first, please. But nobody said those, so I'm not going to use them. He was once, however, described as arrogant, conceited, insensitive and selfish. And let's face it, if anyone knows him well enough, it's Christy. I did actually find loads of ready-prepared speeches on the internet, but sadly for me, none of them have got a couple called Phil and Jen. So I did have to write most of this myself. As part of my research, though, I did discover that I'm supposed to sing the Queen's praises and tell you about his many good points. Well, I can't sing, and I'm not going to lie. When I first met Jen, cheers, Theo. I can always count on you for a little bit of a laugh then. When I first met Jen, though, thought she, well, my first impressions were beautiful, witty, charming, clever, friendly, was on and on and on, and thoughtful person. But Jen, you soon ruined this by agreeing to marry Phil. For those of you expecting outrageous stories about Phil's past, the truth is that I was with him for most of them, so I'm not going to ruin my impeccable reputation. However, without the influence of Jen in his life, Phil would still surely be sat in his mum's house, playing Championship Manager and enjoying the delights of the internet. And I think he once called it special time. I guess that's what you get from watching too much Red 2. You're laughing at it? Yeah, I'm not even what I'm saying. I knew there was a reason to Phil invited. It wasn't nothing to be a friend. You phoned his favourite. Now, Jen, you truly turned this greasy teen into the modern day man he is today. You've straightened his hair, threw out his old wardrobe, and even painted his nails when required. I'm not going to mention too much about the stag do, but needless to say, Phil did have a few run-ins with the law. Boys, you know what that's about. As part of the stag do, Phil was dressed as a lady. And he made quite an interesting lady, and definitely turned a few heads as he traipsed through Asda's looking for condoms, cucumbers, thrush cream, Vaseline and bra and knickers combo. I'm not going to tell you what somebody actually said while he was walking through. It's a little bit true. I do feel, though, that Phil quite fancied himself as a lady. And he liked how the fresh air felt on his hairy legs. So Jen, be warned. He may well try and get that dress off your back tonight. But don't be surprised if it's only to try it on himself. Thank you, Jen. That was all yours. Now, but this lady business ties in nicely with Phil's sporting career. We all know that Phil secretly fancied himself as a bit of a rugby player. But unlike some of us, he never quite had the nerve to give it a go. So he turned to football. A game in which players wax their legs, straighten their hair, and dive around like fairies. So I think with the influence of Jen's sisters, I think dressing him up as dresses as a kid, he may actually well be a lady. Sorry, Phil. But Jen, we are truly grateful you helped him see the light. As for a man who once thought it would be cool to dye his hair orange, he hasn't turned out too bad.
It's true.
I did have photos of that, but I thought it'd be a little bit too cruel. I'd also like to congratulate Phil, who's made a truly heroic attempt to cut back on his eating and drinking to get into some sort of shape for today. And personally, I think he's succeeded. Well, round is a shape. I get in some laughter, but that's alright. I got a dry sense of humour, so baby. I was having a quiet drink with Phil a while back and asked him what he wanted from his marriage. He said, well, I want to be a model husband and a model citizen. And then with his cheeky grin, he also said, I want to be a model lover. So, being the naive chap that I am, I looked up model in the dictionary. And it said, small miniature replica of the real thing. I love a joke. We've been film friends now for 15 years. It was time we've hardly argued, shared laughter, drinks, and late night curries, most of which paid by myself. Still, will you stop? Because they're laughing at you now. No, but you've been a true friend, and he was even there during one of my greatest moments. And as you can tell, as Phil is a Liverpool fan, really, I think it pained him when he sat next to me as United won the Champions League. So how did Phil and Jen meet? Jen and Phil met at work. In the early days with Phil, with his highlighted hair and terrible dress sense, pursued several colleagues in the office and fancied himself as a bit of a ladies' man. Needless to say, he was never very successful. I think Ian can vouch for this as well. It was at this point that Jen made her biggest mistake. Whilst Phil's car was in the garage, Jen agreed to drive Phil to work. From then on, Phil, who had never been an advocate for hard work, started putting in long hours in the office.
You won't do any bloody work.
But
I'm not going to deny it.
This is my time now. I'm actually quite enjoying it, even though I was absolutely shitting my pants. But Phil confided in me one night and said, I think I've met someone. So of course, I asked for more details. There's this girl at work who I think's been giving me the signals. Jen, this is true, Dad, I'm not making this up. So skeptically, I asked how long has it been going on for? Oh, only about 6 months. And it's only credit to Jen's phenomenal patience, not only for waiting for Phil to make the first move, but for also her patience in everyday life that we're here today on this special day. Jen, only God knows how you managed not only live with this person, but also work with him. You must have done something seriously wrong in a previous life. But I think I can safely say it's obvious how much in love they are with each other, and I tried to think of an example to illustrate this. And of the hundreds of examples, one specifically stuck in my mind. Phil, being the true modern day man that he is, always lets Jen do all the dishes, ironing, washing, cooking, and in return Phil sits on the couch pointing out any housework Jen may have missed out. What a Jen!
Again,
It's the laugh of the laugh. Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind. I'm almost done now. Laugh. But see, thank you, Phil. It has been a true honour to be his best man today. This in your finest hour. But next time, fella, please ask somebody else. So, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me immense pleasure, not to mention immense relief, to invite you all to be upstanding and to raise your glasses in a toast to Phil and Jen. We wish them all the well. Wish them well for the future. Not, oh, I've lost it right to the end. That's terrible. And may they enjoy a long and happy marriage. So may I give you Mr. and Mrs. Williams.
Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Williams.
I'm now going to pass you on to the man of the moment, Mr. Philip Williams, to say a few closing words.
right, ladies and gentlemen, after so many competent speakers, I find it a bit difficult to say any words. I'd just like to say thank yous to everybody who's turned up today. On behalf of Jen and myself, everybody's made a great effort, and we're just very thankful for that. Today would never have happened without Jen's parents, Brian and Pauline, and my parents, Jeff and Christine. So I'd like to say a big thank you by presenting them with a bouquet from Dan in the corner. I know it's embarrassing, don't worry. It's not as embarrassing as it As you can tell, I'm not one for public speaking at all. Right? I've had zero practice anyway. But no, I'd like to thank the bridesmaids, who is Lisa, and two of my nieces, Daisy and Ruby. And I think they all look beautiful today, so I'd just like to present them with some things, okay? Daisy, Ruby? I feel like I'm presenting an award or something. Come on, you, darling.
I'm Daisy.
Can we kiss, gorgeous? Thank you. And Lisa, thank you very much.
Where's a kisser, Phil?
Sorry, Lisa.
Right. As well as saying thank you to obviously the bridesmaids and all of you for coming today, I'd also like to say a big thank you to Chris.
Thank you.
For the setting up the cameras and the filming and everything. It's been much appreciated, Chris, me and Jen. Very thankful. On top of this, where am I going now? Best man. Sorry. I'm very nervous.
Under the thumb already, Phil.
It's an overwhelming day, and I'm very emotional to say the least. But I would like to say a great thank you to both Richard and James, who have been the best men. And for James for his speech, which was, great. Alright? So James, thank you very much. Again, I'd like to say thank you to every one of you for turning up today, making an effort, and well, that's it really. No, she thought it was going to be. No, when Jen turned up today, the registrar said to me, "Are you going to look? Are you going to look? Do you want to look?" And I looked. I got the courage to look, and I turned round after bigging myself up for so long, and she wasn't there. And I thought, thank you very much. But no. Looking every 5 minutes, every couple of seconds, but when I seen her, I think you could tell how emotionally taken over I was, and how stunning I thought, well, I do think she looked, and how beautiful I thought she was when she walked down there. And I think all of you would agree with me when I say that.
Oh. Yeah.
I feel immensely proud to have Jen as my wife. I've done this once before, it happened. I've done this once for us. It's very overwhelming for me. But no, as you can tell, I'm very, very pleased and happy. So I'd like to say, raise a toast to my beautiful wife. Jennifer.
I haven't been told this yet, but I presume enjoy the rest of the evening. Do we go out now? Yeah. Right, so where is this right? One sec. Wait, what do you mean? You got it. I want it. He hasn't finished yet.
Sorry. I had to compose myself. I just want to raise a toast as well to those who we love immensely but have lost and they never forgotten. Okay? So. I invite all of James. I'm going to say.
Where are we going, sorry, to the... okay, so I'd like to invite everyone to head into the Nelson Suite and enjoy the rest of our night before we head back here for the evening entertainment.